Squirrel.
Squirrel?
Yeah, squirrel. Well, Johnny, here we are again, the lovely Pacific Ocean behind us. Beautiful, sunny Southern California day. We got these two lovelies, the Triumph Speed Twin and the BMW RnineT. Some retro-styled motorcycles with modern-day technology and performance. These are roughly 1200cc engines. Got the parallel twin, liquid-cooled 1200cc engine on the Triumph. The boxer twin here in the BMW is air and oil-cooled 1170cc. BMW says this engine makes, I can tell you what they say it makes right here with my nifty piece of paper. BMW says this guy makes 110 horsepower. Triumph, they say it makes 96 horsepower, despite the fact that's a bigger engine by 30 cc's and a liquid cooled.
One of them is lying, aren't they?
Someone's got to be lying here. BMW, 86 pound-feet of torque, that's what they say anyway. Triumph, 80, almost 83 pound-feet of torque. But here's the cool thing about the Triumph. It makes its torque at 4,950 RPM. That's way super down low in the rev range, almost nothing. BMW is making its peak torque at 6,000 RPM. Doesn't seem like much, but it is a lot higher. And you feel that on the Triumph. It makes its torque really down low. No matter what gear you're in, you just kind of crack the throttle open and it scoots you along just fine. The Triumph almost feels diesel-like in just how low it makes its torque, whereas the BMW in comparison, you know, you rev it up high and you scooch along just nicely. But yeah, both of these bikes are full of character, right, Johnny? I mean, cool parallel twin, cool boxer twin.
Really full of character. If character's what you're after, for sure. I enjoy riding both of them, especially on this nice day. Yeah, this one makes torque really low, but it only revs out to 7,000 RPM. The BMW goes up to 8,500 RPM before you bump into its red line. So, you know, there's slightly different kind of power band, but they both feel pretty torquey, really big mid-range in both of them. Big 1200cc mid-range in both of them. You can kind of, maybe the BMW a little bit more, it accelerates from the bottom in 6th gear, it seems like. Triumph's right there too, though, huh?
It's pretty darn close.
Yeah,
They both feel like they've got some pep to them whenever you twist the throttle.
They've definitely got, they don't have a lot of horsepower on top, I think. I think we ran out on the dyno, it's more like 85 at the rear wheel horsepower, and this is probably going to be close to, I bet, the same kind of deal. I wouldn't be surprised, even though we haven't got the Triumph to the dyno yet.
Yeah, but to kind of compare these things on a performance standpoint is kind of not doing the styling of these bikes any justice.
Yeah.
I mean, you got the retro-styled Speed Twin and the funky, whatever you want to call the RnineT here.
Mm-hmm. Well, you could call that our RnineT that we have there. That one's got the Black Storm metallic vintage paint job, so that the yellow number plate on there is hand painted, and it's kind of hip. That bike starts at $15,495, and I wouldn't be surprised if the vintage paint job kicks it up a little bit from there. So you're probably looking at about 16 G's for that one.
Yeah, and for 16 G's, they couldn't even finish off the numbers here on the number plate.
But that's also weird. Painted on an aluminum tank, which is a pretty sweet gas tank.
Quiet on set, please. So what you might notice by now in this video is that Triumph and myself, we don't really match any of the other footage you've seen so far, either before this shot's taken or pretty much any other shot you're gonna see in this video. Well, there's a reason for that, and it's because I got hit by a car while riding the other Speed Twin, the original Speed Twin that we had to test. You heard that right. While we were shooting the other footage for this video, one of the twisty roads we were on, I was coming around a bend and there was a car who totally blew his right turn, flew into my lane and clipped me.
It wasn't just any car, a 2013 Porsche Boxster.
Yeah.
With an attorney behind them. I don't know if he's an attorney or not.
How'd you know that?
But we're glad you're all right. It could have been a lot worse.
Well, credit to that goes to my safety gear, and especially the airbag I was wearing. More on that in a future story, or in a different story slash video, because I'm a firm believer in airbags being like the tip top in safety gear today. But all that being said, that's a different speed twin. I'm wearing different gear because we're back to finish off this video, and we're not going to let me flying over the hood of a Porsche Boxster stop us from doing that.
So here we are. Back on that horse.
Where do we leave off? Character. I think, to me anyway, these bikes exude character. Triumph had that 270-degree parallel twin, makes all the right noises, makes all the right vibrations and grumbles. You're sitting upright on the Triumph with the bars closer to you. The BMW, like you said, Johnny, you're further back, but the bars are wider. These are two contrasts in just style, right?
Yeah, there's just kind of a little bit different. The BMW is a little bit longer and lower. It's got a little bit like the wheelbase is about 2 inches longer than the Triumph, so you're a little bit more leaned into that one, but not to an uncomfortable degree at all, just a little bit more. Triumph's a little bit more upright. Handlebars not quite as wide on the Triumph.
Yep. To me, I think the things that separate the BMW from the Triumph, the BMW has adjustable suspension, and I like the wider bars of the BMW, and the biggest difference is in the brakes. The BMW has radial mount calipers, 320 mil discs. Those are axial calipers with, I think it's 305 mil discs. Doesn't really seem like a whole lot on paper, but in reality, the stopping power of this BMW is so much better than that Triumph. But really, that's like the major performance thing that separates these two, in my opinion. That being said though, I'd be totally happy on either one of these bikes because I think they're both really cool. What about you?
Yeah, I think so too. The Triumph's a little bit cheaper, $12,999. This thing's brand new, so I kind of expected it to knock that thing out of the water, because I went to the first Oilhead intro in 1993, the R1100 RS. So that engine's been around for a long time. I wasn't really a huge fan of the original RnineT in 2013, but this particular one's got some good suspension on it. The inverted fork that it's got now is adjustable. It's got a linkage type shock on the back, whereas the Triumph's got the old boingers back here. And it has a decent enough fork, but you can't adjust anything on it.
No.
It's right side up. With gators, you get gators. So yeah, I mean, I love the engine in here, and I love that it's $3,000, $4,000 cheaper than that one maybe. But the RnineT, the BMW, seems like it runs a little bit smoother than some we've had before, or maybe just the suspension soaking up the bumps better than the last one I rode. Is a pretty sweet bike. So I'd say, you know, whichever one you prefer. This one's nice. The BMW's got some nice components on it, including the brakes, all the trim bits that hold the front fender on, the headlight with the little BMW thing in it. It's pretty hip.
And the R9T, when you're sitting at a stop and you rev it, it does this little shimmy because of the Boxster engine. That's pretty cool too.
Let you know. For me, I used to like to work on things, do mechanical things. If you want to adjust your own valves on there, you put it on the center stand and pull those off, and you're right there at it.
Yep.
You can do your own maintenance on that.
Yeah, so I think we both agree from a performance standpoint, the BMW's got the better components and it's the better, if you want to call it a sport bike of the two, but it's the better performing of the two. But I don't really think either of these two bikes is about how they go as far as like performance-wise. It's more of a statement in attitude and design, and like I said before, these are both cool bikes. If I had to choose one, I'm probably gonna go with the BMW. I just like the way that this thing shimmies when it stops, and it makes good power, and it's got the wide bars and better brakes and better suspension and the right vibrations. It's even got built-in footrests up here in the front. But like I said before, if you gave me that bike, the Triumph, I'd be happy as a clam too. John?
Yeah, you know, even though that one's got better components and all, I think if you want to do sport riding, like we were doing when you got hit by the Porsche, This one seems like it goes around corners a little bit better to me, even though it doesn't have as strong a brakes and all, because it's got a little bit less trail. It's 2 inches shorter, and even though the handlebar is not quite as wide, it seems like it goes back and forth a little quicker than the BMW. If that's what you want one of these for. Most people buying these aren't really super into sport riding, but if you are, I think the Triumph is a little bit.
Well,
edgier.
what would you pick?
Well, if you were going to give me either one of these, I think I want the BMW.
You mean we agree on something?
I thought you were going to pick the Triumph. Are you going to pick the Triumph? I'll take the.
You heard it here first, folks. John and I both agree on something. We both like the BMW. It's our pick between the two of them.
It's closer than it's been in a long time for me, though. It's a real close one for me because this thing's very cool in its own right, not even in the looks department, you know. And if you started bolting on some Triumph accessories like that's got, you'd have like $3,000 to put some more bling on here, and then you're closing the gap a little bit, you know.
It sounds like John's already wavering. So
I'm just saying it's close.
Between now and the time I actually take to write the written story on Mo, John might change his tune. But for now, John and I both agree, by the slimmest of margins, we would pick the RnineT between these two bikes. And if you are one of the folks who really has this itch to ride an RnineT on a racetrack, kind of like our own Sean Maddock, the videographer behind the camera right now, check out Sean's series about racing an RnineT throughout all of 2019. It is now almost the last quarter of 2020, and Sean's got one more video about racing an RnineT at Barber. So yeah, go check out Sean's series about how quickly you can take one of these RnineTs around a racetrack. It's pretty cool, pretty good stuff.
Thanks, bro.
Be sure to check out Motorcycle.com for the full written review of these two bikes. And yeah, let's keep on riding, having a good time. We'll see you later, and we'll try not to get hit by Porsches, or any other car for that matter. And wear your safety gear, including airbags. It's good stuff. See ya.
Over and out.
Almost perfect day. The only thing that would make it perfect if we were shooting in like Mojave or something right now.
Yeah. You know what's better than a 100-degree day? 120-degree day.